Hi, and welcome to Mixed with Meaning, where we mix cocktails and rituals to pour presence and craft connection. I'm Pete, and today I'm excited to share with you my recipe for my personal favorite old fashioned. Along the way, I'm going to share tips and tricks for you to explore and find the version that might be your personal favorite. After we make the cocktail, I'm also going to share a ritual of reflection that can help you make the most meaning while you enjoy this drink. The old fashioned got its name during the late 1800s, during a time of proliferation of really complicated cocktails, when people would ask for this drink by ordering it the old fashioned way. So, needless to say, it's kind of the quintessentially classic cocktail. It combines American whiskey, accented with bitters, sweetener, garnish from citrus fruit, and ice. So it's relatively simple and it's a stirred drink and it's really popular these days. So I'm really excited to share how to make this one. In addition to those ingredients, you're going to need a couple of tools. You're going to need, of course, a serving glass. You're going to need a cutting board, a knife, a jigger for measuring, also a teaspoon, and a stirring spoon, optionally a secondary stirring glass. You can stir it right in your serving glass, but there's some questions about the ice that you use, so that's up to you. Now, to get started, you're going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon of sweetener. I use Demerara gum syrup because it's not as refined as white sugar, and so it adds some of the deeper molassesy notes. If you don't have Demerara, you can make something that'll be pretty close to equivalent by adding 1/4 teaspoon each of white and brown sugars plus a 1/2 teaspoon of water. Next up is the bitters. Add 2 dashes of Angostura. This is the most common bitters in America used in old fashions. It has a wonderful aroma of warm baking spices. I also add 3 drops of a bitters called the Bitter Truth. This is less popular, but I think it has a cooler, more herbal scent, and it really brings out different notes from the whiskey. So 3 drops of that. You can also use other bitters. A lot of folks will try out orange bitters, which can augment the drink nicely. You can use just the Angostura, just the orange, or any bitters that you want to try. Bitters are kind of a fun and honestly pretty cheap way to tweak your drink around and personalize it for yourself or other folks who are enjoying it. So after the bitters, the next thing is the whiskey. I use 2 ounces of Elijah Craig small batch bourbon. I use this because it's got a really rich flavor profile without a really rich price tag. I'd encourage you, though, to use any bourbon that suits your palate. And if you're looking for something that's more accessible, a blend that works really well in this version of the drink is Evan Williams. And for anyone who's alcohol-free or not looking for alcohol at the moment, Ritual makes a wonderful whiskey alternative that works really well in this cocktail also. Now, before we stir, I'm going to add a few drops of lemon juice. You can do this just by cutting a little wedge, squeezing just a couple of drops. This is not so much that you're going to taste it directly, but it just offers a reference point for your palate of acid that's going to offset the sweetness flavor that comes from the whiskey and, of course, is there from your sweetener syrup. Now, if you used white and brown sugar at this point, you're going to want to stir that up before we chill it with ice because it's going to be much harder for those sugar crystals to dissolve once the drink is cooled. So make sure you're looking at just liquid in the glass and then cover this in ice. Now we're going to stir this drink to chill it, to make sure everything's really combined, and to also dilute it with water. And that water actually is an important aspect of balancing all of the flavor profiles. So stir this around for about 30 seconds and you should be good. Okay, now your drink is stirred. If you're stirring in a separate glass, you're going to want to prepare your serving glass now and add an ice cube to it. Any ice can work, but I say if you're making old fashions, spend a couple bucks and get a fun ice mold that's got a shape that you enjoy. Now, you also can serve your drink without ice. The ice in the glass keeps your drink cold by melting over time. And that melting dilutes the drink and that shifts the flavor profile. It actually decreases the experience of sweetness in particular and shifts the taste towards the lighter notes and away from the deeper, darker notes of the whiskey. That might be something that you actually enjoy, and you might just really enjoy your drink cold. But this is a wonderful drink that can also be served neat after it's chilled. If you pour this into a glass with no ice, instead of it diluting over time, it's going to slowly warm a bit over time. And that is actually going to shift the flavor profile toward the other direction, probably enhancing your experience of sweetness and enhancing some of those deeper, darker notes. So if you haven't ever tried that, I'd encourage you to try it or pour a little bit both ways and compare them head to head. I'm going to pour my favorite version over ice here. Now, to finish this drink, we just need to garnish. And for that, we're going to use a bit of a lemon peel and a bit of an orange peel. Before you drop the peel in the drink, the garnish and the flavor really comes from the essential oils that are in the outside of the skin. So take that and fold it over a little bit and give it a bit of a squeeze over the drink. Twist it back and forth, and that gets a lot of those essential oils which come up into the air and into the aroma into the drink, and then place it alongside the ice cube. Do the same with the orange. Now with the orange, I also recommend a trick of rubbing the outside of the orange along the rim of your drink. And what that's going to do is it's going to take those bitter orangey notes and actually give them to your palate and your taste buds as you set your mouth on the rim just before you get the whiskey in the drink for a fun bit of anticipation. There you have my favorite version of the classic whiskey old fashioned. Now, as you enjoy your drink, like I said, I want to offer you a ritual of reflection that can help you make more meaning out of this drink. This drink is very classic, and for a lot of people, the flavor profile brings up feelings of nostalgia. I like to lean into that with a reflection ritual that asks questions of the drink and then pivots into questions about our lives. So if you're interested, take a couple sips of your drink. See what you notice about it. See what you like about it. And see if it reminds you of anything. Next, for the nostalgia and reflection part, I want you to consider that this drink has come a long way, and you've come a long way. A lot has changed. I'd like you to ask yourself, what's something from your childhood or from the way things used to be that you sort of love and miss? You can go ahead and reminisce about that and whatever memories this drink is evoking from you as you go ahead and enjoy some of it. So you drink about half of your drink, reminiscing about that, talking about it with your friends. When you get to about the halfway point in this drink, it will have changed. If you've got ice in there, it will have melted some and diluted and shifted that flavor profile. If you don't have ice, it will have warmed, which will also have shifted the flavor profile differently. See if you can notice now at the halfway point differences in this drink or differences of your experience about it. And notice, did you like those first couple of sips more, or is it growing on you now and are you liking it more now? As a reflection into life, I'd ask you to consider that the pace of modern life and change seems to be accelerating. So much is shifting in the world. And even outside of the world, just our personal lives are always evolving. I'd ask you to notice what are some changes that you've been noticing in the world today? And how are you experiencing them? Reflect on the changes of your experience of this drink and on your changes of your experience of life as you keep enjoying it. When you get down towards the very end of this drink, and you've got just those few little sips left towards the bottom, I'd ask you to pause for a moment and take an intentional moment to recognize what's your favorite part of this drink. What do you enjoy the most that you're going to miss when it's gone? Reflecting into life, I'd ask you to consider looking backwards. What was a day in your life that's gone that you would love a chance to re-experience if you could, if you had that magic wand? And then importantly, I think a big point of the feeling of nostalgia is actually to bring us into the present and to recognize the preciousness of what we have all around us. So for the final reflection, I'll ask you, what's really good in your life right now that one day will be gone, that you really want to lean into and be present with it and fully experience it first? Think about that beauty in your life as you take and enjoy your last couple of sips of this old fashioned. That is the Mixed with Meaning Old Fashioned. I hope you find it delicious, and even more, I hope you find it mixed with meaning. If you like this video, please comment because it means a lot to me. And of course, subscribe and share. Thank you so much.